Hello, welcome to the Villages, Florida. My name is David. I'm a realtor with Florida Realty Investments, and I can be reached at DavidisinFlorida@gmail.com. If you have any questions on real estate in the Villages, please contact me. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. This week, we start by taking a look at what the effect rising interest rates are eventually going to have on real estate prices. The first block you see is an illustration of a mortgage of $300,000 at a rate of 2.75% for 30 years, which was the rate about a year ago. That payment would have been $1,224, and at current interest rates of around 7.5%, that same $300,000 mortgage is going to cost $2,097 a month, almost double. What's troubling is if one looks at the last block, which shows that if one could only afford the same mortgage payment that was in effect a year ago, i.e., $1,224 a month, the maximum mortgage that would allow you is only $175,000, which is slightly more than half of the mortgage you could afford just a year ago. Well, enough about the macro perspective. Let's take a look at what's happening in the Villages market itself. As always, this information is drawn from the Multiple Listing Service, the MLS. It does not include any listings or new homes that are listed on the Village's own internal listing site, the VLS. This week, we have 231 properties on the market. They range in price from almost $220,000 to almost $2 million. This is the breakdown of what price segments these listings fall into. This week, there are no properties in the Villages listed for under $200,000. There are 23 properties between $200,000 and $300,000. Last week, there were 19, and the week prior to that, 22. In the most active price segment, the $300,000 to $500,000 price range, this week there are 133 properties listed. Last week, there were 144. The median listing price for all listings is up slightly this week. Last week it was $271.99 a square foot. This week it's $272.82 a square foot. We do seem to be remaining in the median price range of $272 a square foot. Looking at how long these listings are staying on the market, we're still hovering around the upper end of the range. We're at 41 days as the median time for all listings currently on the market. Next, we turn our attention to properties that sold. This is sold and closed over the last 7 days. Properties ranged in price from $229,000 to $799,000. There were 22 properties that closed over the last 7 days, which is at the lower end of the range we've seen over the last 6 months. Taking a closer look at the properties that sold, we can see that no properties sold in the last 7 days between $100,000 and $200,000. There were 3 properties between $200,000 and $300,000. In the most active price segment, the $300,000 to $500,000 price range, the last 7 days saw 16 properties close. Previous 7 days saw 23, and the 7 days prior to that also saw 23. Taking another look at properties that sold over the last 7 days, we can see how long they were on the market before they closed. Over the last 7 days, the median was 14 and a half days. The 7 days prior to that was 13 and a half, and the 7 days prior to that was 12. Another look at the properties that closed over the last 7 days shows how many dollars per square foot were realized. The last 7 days, $263 was the median price per square foot. The 7 days prior to that saw a median price per square foot of $267, and the 7 days prior to that, $264. It does seem that property prices seem to be holding steady here for now. Now let's take a look at new listings and properties that went pending. We're going to start with properties that went pending. The previous 7 days saw 28 properties go pending. Prior to that, the 7-day period saw 21, and the 7-day period prior to that saw 12. We'll return to new listings in a moment. Homes that went pending over the last 7 days were priced at $257.72 a square foot, up from the previous 7 days of $247, down slightly from the 7-day period prior to that of $265. It's hard to see a trend yet, but it seems that with rising interest rates, the price realized per square foot should decline. This graph shows us how long the properties that went pending were on the market. The last 7 days, the median time on the market for pending sales was 22 and a half days. 7 days prior to that was 17, and the 7 days prior to that was 50 days. There is a lot of noise in this data series since there are so few homes that go pending every 7 days. Here we take a look at the price change from the original listing price for properties that went pending over the last 7 days. The last 7 days saw the price decrease from the original listing price for pending homes down by 3.63%. Previous week was 4.79% decrease, and the week prior to that, 5.35. This is a misleading graph because as time goes on, you would expect that original listing prices would also decrease and wouldn't necessarily be reflected only in a price change from the original listing price. A quick look at new listings shows us in what price segments these new listings appear. In the most active price segment, the $300,000 to $500,000 price range, this week there are 12 new listings. Last week there were 16, and the week prior to that also saw 12. And the last two things we look at are what percentage of properties on the MLS have had a decrease from their original listing price. Of all the properties listed on the MLS, over 50% of those properties have been reduced from their original listing price. Looking more closely at the decrease, we can see that for the last 7 days, the median percentage decrease from the original listing price for all listings was 4.27%. Previous 7 days was 4.58, and the 7 days prior to that, 4.55. It certainly appears as if sellers are still hopeful that buyers will step up to their current prices, notwithstanding higher rates. So that ends this week's look at the Villages real estate market. Once again, if you have any questions on real estate in the Villages or its proximity, please contact me at DavidisinFlorida@gmail.com. Be happy to answer any questions you have on real estate. If you'd like me to give you an opinion as to the value of your home, or you are interested in being put on a mailing list to be alerted when properties in your price range or the geographical area of the Villages that you're interested in comes on the market, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to provide you with that information. Hope to hear from you. Take care.